fanfiction I started yesterday. So, you might hear it, my mic quality has probably improved a bit. I slapped a filter into it. If it's a bit too loud, tell me. Anyways, we're gonna start soon. Hold up, let me change here. Alright, so as you can see, we reached chapter 2 yesterday. Which isn't much, but you have to consider every chapter is like at least 100k words. So I at least try to finish 2 chapters today, which seems like a pretty straining task, to be honest. But I've got a beer here. I've got like a 1.5 liter bottle. Well, is it 1.5? Yeah, 1.5 liter bottle of energy drink to keep myself awake. We are gonna do this, guys. We are gonna do this. I'm gonna hate myself for doing this, but we are gonna do this. Also, as you can see down here, I have paint ready if I want to make a timeline or so, if things get confusing as fuck. Because Rev Scarecrow did this when he did the same thing when he read Homestuck, which made it a bit easier for someone like me who read it for the first time and had no fucking clue what's going on to understand it a bit more. Anyways, let's continue where we left off. Chapter 2. Bounded to a new Earth. Earthbound, Winters, near Snowwood boarding school. Earthbound snowman. Winters was a special place in All Eagle Land where it was always under a thick layer of snow that covered the whole landscape. Scientists had reported that the area might have been greatly altered due to human intervention, but luckily it did not cause any problematic issues to the environment. Animal life was pretty much tame and was never endangered by the cold climate, so it was a peaceful area. That was until Geiger's influence took hold of the animal life and twisted everyday objects into monsters. Only normal humans would notice the enraged animals, but as for the objects, they would go largely unnoticed till their chosen prey would pass nearby as orders from Geigers came to their newborn minds. Over a hill of snow that overlooked the Snowwood boarding school, a portal opened, and a teenager and his tall Pokemon stumbled out onto the cold floor. The portal closing behind him. Shivering at the sudden temperature change, Chris slowly stood back up. Lucario standing up faster than he did. "We're here!" Lucario trailed off in disbelief. They had actually managed to transcend the boundaries of space, and possibly our logic itself, to make it into another universe. Granted, Lucario had done it already, but he never noticed it. He looked at his shivering trainer. "I'm glad nothing more would happen when we did this." "If you haven't noticed already," Chris shivered. I'm not wearing winter clothing." The Aura Poké shrugged. "I can't even feel that much cold," he pointed out. "Well, duh, if you got fur. I got skin, without the fur," Chris complained. "I'm guessing that oversized hand is not going to help me out with this. I'm so getting a cold." Lucario looked worried, but then he noticed the portal opening up behind them. Standing back, Lucario saw Chris turning around and gasping. "Sorry!" Marstan's voice came from the portal as a blue jacket was tossed out from it. "It seems you guys were taken to that specific area." Chris regained his composure. He was never going to get used to looking at portals anytime soon. Picking up the jacket that he swore was actually his, he cleared his throat to say, "Couldn't you have dropped us off somewhere else warmer?" "Sorry, but the current story timeline is taking place right there," Marstan shouted. "There's no way to work around this. You could wait for a bit for the events of that area to end, but I suspect that the Subspace Army has already noticed your presence." The teen did not like what he heard. "Meaning, yeah, leaving that area behind like nothing happened will most likely explode in the worst of cases," Marstan said. After hearing the teen's shocked "explode" word, the hand said, "Well, off you go. Try not to get killed, or else it'd be real bad." "Get killed?" Chris shouted, bewildered as Lucario growled, but the portal closed down conveniently on the hand's favor. "What in the hell?" he complained loudly. Lucario continued growling until he stopped frowning. "Well, we did accept his task," he trailed off. His trainer buried his face into his hands. I was so blind in meeting other people that I actually never considered dying on the job much. I'm so ashamed, he trailed off, but Lucario approached him and hung his right arm on Chris. You still have me, Lucario said. If anybody lays a thing on you, they will pay with their pain. Chris sighed. You do all the fighting while I go somewhere to find a stick to beat people with. Seriously now, Lucario said in a deadpan tone. What do you expect me to do? Chris asked, looking up at his Pokemon. I was given this job system, yet the hand didn't give me a single job. Unless I'm freelancer right now. Lucario immediately said, Jack of all trades, master of none. Except there are no trades, Chris responded. Throwing his arms up, he sighed once more and looked around where they had landed, spotting a landscape of withered trees with snow covering the branches. I think there's no use in complaining right now. Let's just go with the flow, I guess. Lucario surveyed the area with his eyes. He turned around to see the Snowwood boarding school. I suppose we should head down there, he said, his trainer turning to the brick fenced building. The Snowwood boarding school, Chris nodded. I remember Jeff lives there. Which means we're at the point of the story where Ness and Paula are trapped at the graveyard. Lucario looked down at Chris. A closer look at the trainer made the other Pokemon look confused. Chris? What is it, Lucario? Chris looked up to Lucario. The Pokemon didn't say a thing to let Chris tell what was wrong. A closer look at Lucario's face revealed that it had turned rather simplistic. The white of his eyes was gone, and the only red remained behind the void of black that was his mask-looking pattern. Oh my god, he muttered. Yes, I don't have any idea why we look like this, Lucario muttered. Seeing that Chris was also affected by some freak change. Chris's head was considerably larger, just as Lucario's, than the rest of his body, but by age standards he still fit into the world's image of a teenager. So depending on what universe they are in, their appearance changed. Which is, yeah, again, kinda like they done it in Kingdom Hearts 3, I think. Where the design and outfits match the world of the characters. Okay, it kinda makes sense. I mean, if you look at the Earthbound art style, someone who looks like a regular as a human from our world, or like just a freaking Lucario with regular Pokemon world proportions, yeah, that would kind of look weird. Okay. Chris, I can't talk. Chris touched his head with his head. What? He touched his head with his heads. Oh, that's a typo. He would probably wanted his right hand. Dear God, I'm a freak, he shouted. I'm a big-headed freak! Lucario looked serious. Chris, keep your composure, he said. I think that the world affected our appearance to make us match with the rest of the population. The big-headed population, you mean, Chris said. What was it about going with the flow? Lucario reminded his freak trainer. We shouldn't tough it up from here. Not liking the fact that his head somehow had not put on a lot of weight on his frail body. Chris sighed yet again in defeat. Fine, at times like these I wished Master Hand had given us some pointers. Like a manual? I guess. Chris turned back to the Snowwood boarding school. No use in complaining about anything else. Now we have somehow have to He trailed off, unsure of what he was going to say. Chris! Lucario looked away. His trainer looked around to face him. What? Was this alright? He asked, looking back at Chris. Well, what was alright? Lucario closed his eyes. Well, I was talking about your decision to do this adventure. The trainer remained staring at Lucario before scratching his right shoulder, blushing a bit. Well, I wanted to have something different, he trailed off. But I don't know why I jumped at the proposal so suddenly. I mean, when I first saw that people like you could actually exist in the real world, I thought that it was possible for the rest of your universe to do the same as well, but with me going to their homes and then, well... Lucario asked, but you really think that this is the right decision? Chris looked away. I just don't know sometimes. I really wish I had had an adventure with you, Lucario. Remember when you said yourself about going off somewhere with me, a trainer, and me like a trainer and his Pokemon? Lucario blinked. Ah yes, you and I said that before. And to be honest, Chris chuckled, I was thinking about meeting as many characters from the worlds beyond the real world with you. He shook his head. I couldn't make interesting friends if I get to talk with any of them. But now that I think about it, once again, he looked worried. It's not like I can really make friends with the protagonist of the world in just one single conversation. It took me like a year to get you to like me. To them, I'm a non-playable character who will keep saying the same thing over and over again if spoken to. Yes. Lucario looked serious. But this is completely different. I admit that I had pretty bad case of a lone wolf attitude when I first looked at you. Not you though. He said, in my opinion, you have a likable personality and that's all you need to have any of them take a liking on you. Chris shifted his looks to the side, still feeling unsure. In that case, let's see what if we can get a secondary character like Jeff to take a liking on us. Lucario gave him a hopeful smile and nodded. Just as how you were optimistic in gaining my complete trust as your Pokemon, try to be optimistic, he said well before hearing a faint sound that could only hear. Turning back to the school, Lucario spotted two kids on the other side of the fenced gate. I suppose this is where we take our first step into the mission. Chris nodded and walked forward, only to sink instantly inside the snow. Lucario gasped and felt that there was some kind of flat rock hidden inside the snow. There was a soft edge of snow that lacked the rocky surface. Cold! His trainer shouted from the inside. Our Pokemon put up a tough look at Dove into the snow to get him out. Back at the fenced gate of the school, the two children were looking up. Both of them wore the school signature uniform, though that was the only similarity they shared. The hat-wearing red-headed one on the left there was to help his best friend cross over the fence. The glasses-wearing blonde-headed one on the right was intent on the other side. Hold up, let me drink a bit. The blonde-headed one, whose name was Jeff. My name is Jeff. Sorry, I had to do this joke. Nodded and put on Tony's cupped hands. Struggling a lot, Tony only barely managed to push Jeff up enough for him to grab onto the top bar of the fence. Jeff luckily had no trouble putting his right foot on top of it to climb up and fall on his feet on the other side. I was a little worried for a moment there, Jeff said, fixing his glasses. He turned back to Tony, hearing him sigh a tad depressed. Jeff, promise me you will be careful in your journey, Tony said. It's not really that common for people like us to be leaving the school behind till we're older. Thanks, Tony. I appreciate the support, Jeff told Tony. I will do everything to save Paula and Ness. Cover me in the classes! Tony looked unsure. I have absolutely no idea how I'm going to cover for you if you're not even here. But I come up with something, he said, nodding. Oh, Jeff, maybe you can get help from your dad. He should be still living somewhere close to here, right? Jeff nodded. I was considering looking for him. I sure hope he's around here somewhere. Not nearby, he said. Also, if I recall, it's been 10 years ever since the school faculty saw him last. Alright then, I guess this is a goodbye, Tony said. Jeff, be very careful on your journey. We're still best friends forever, no matter what. Sad to see you leaving the day before my birthday. Jeff shrugged. Yes, I guess so, Tony smiled a bit. Doing this far more important though. Go save those two, he said. Once you come back, we will celebrate my birthday for real. It'll be the day when you return as a hero. Waving one last time at his friend, both boys turned their back on each other and continued their separate ways. Jeff looked over his shoulder, watching Tony to get back inside, but not only before Tony gave him a reassuring smile and a hand wave. Once he was gone, Jeff sighed under his breath and turned back to face the withered forest of snow. He could get a clear view of the lake across from where he was standing. The school grounds were on top of a large hill. Jeff looked to his left, finding a convenience store, thinking that he could read something helpful. He walked to the door to enter it. Just before entering, several feet away from him, Lucario and Chris emerged from the hill of snow, barely catching a glimpse of Jeff entering the store. He went in there. Chris shivered. What? Gotta drink something? Yes, now we have to come up with a way for him to lead us to Ness. Lucario said. I think I remember Winters is pretty far away from that graveyard Ness fell into. What do you suggest? Chris asked, dusting off the snow from his hair. I really don't want to be too straightforward to him and say, hey, we're here to save Ness from his horrible fate because there's a whole army bent on getting his head. Let's be insta-friends and join forces together. Or even lie to him. That's a problem, Lucario told off, not even saying the truth or a lie. is difficult. Chris thought for a moment. What if we casually avoid saying a lie and telling the truth by being good Samaritans, he asked. You mean, what he doesn't need to know from us won't hurt anybody? Something like that, Chris said, shrugging. This is so difficult. Alright, let's give this a shot. They both looked at the convenience store. Here goes nothing. The duo approached the store only for the front door to slide open with Jeff walking out, together with a bubble-chewing monkey that seemed to have taken interest in the smart boy. Ollie was the first duo was pondering what to say without having established eye contact with Jeff. The blonde boy has already looked up the menacing canine looking known as Lucario. Hold on you there! Jeff called out to Lucario. Lucario was taken off guard, and so did Chris. They both came to a halt. Yes? Chris sharply asked. Jeff fixed his glasses on Lucario. You don't get to see such a person, he said, saying the last word while staring at Lucario's hind legs. Like him walking around these parts. And here I thought he was going to scream at my big head. I forgot Lucario's the only one looking out so out of place, Chris thought and shot. Though his hostile look didn't really cause any kind of pain on me. Yet, Jeff noted. At least two world hoppers could cross out the possibility of the blind boy running away, screaming a bloody murder. Do you two live around these parts? They felt an odd sense of danger with the question Jeff posed to them. Well, no, we're travelers, Lucario said all of a sudden. We're travelers who just happen to be passing through here. Jeff was mildly impressed that the 6-foot-tall canine could even talk. Ah, so you can talk English too, he said. Chris wondered why he was sweating bullets in a cold climate somehow. You seem civilized, judging you haven't ripped our companion's limbs. Lucario looked at I can talk? Lucario took this as an offense. I would never do such a thing to Chris, he said. Okay then, Jeff said, looking into the forest. I have some other business to attend to. Might as well leave now. If Jeff left, the duo would lose the chance to aiding Ness against the subspace army. Chris was quickly trying to come up with something to convince Jeff from letting them come with him along for the ride. He was the only lead that would surely take them to Ness anyway. Think about the facts or something, quick! Chris thought to himself. Wait, he hastily said. Yes, Jeff raised an eyebrow. Are you going to off alone in the wild? Chris asked, putting up a worried look. You're kind of too young to be going alone, he eyed the bubble monkey. Daniel was busy chewing on bubblegum to care about what was going on, but the monkey followed Jeff just because he carried a pack of gum with him. And honestly, that monkey doesn't seem to be much of help. Huh? Jeff trailed off, grimacing a bit. Well, I suppose you're right on that notion. I just got this monkey because the store clerks want to get rid of it. Dismaying the duo, Jeff turned back to the forest. I see how things play out for me. Thank you for worrying about me. Chris's nerves got the best of him. For crying out loud! I was implying that he wanted to come along with you so you can cross the woods safely! Chris shouted. Lucario stared shocked at him for a small while. Jeff stopped in his tracks and turned back to him. If anything, I'm worried about what might happen to you if you came along. For reasons I'm not at liberty to say, the task I was tasked to do is kind of beyond your wildest dreams, he said. You don't get to hear something from a boy his age in my neighborhood, Chris thought. Martha freaked out. Even then, what could a kid of your age get into? Speak for yourself. You're a teenager, Jeff pointed out. Lucario hoped this wasn't going to drive into an argument. I always thought that I shouldn't trust strangers. Though to be honest with myself, I trust two complete strangers. Lucario stepped forward. We wish to aid you, he said. If you haven't noticed yet, there's a monkey following you. True enough, Jeff muttered in defeat. The bubble monkey looked kind of insulted, with the grimace on his face. Well, fine. Okay, so I think I'm gonna I start making a timeline now. So this here's Chris's timeline, I think. Let's make that one red. I will expand on this later. And here it will branch off for the first time into hold up. Let's make that green. It branches off into Earthbound. Yeah, let's add a text field. Oh, wrong button, hold up. Let's make it a bit smaller. Nope. Okay, it's still a bit too big, Hold up. 11. Right. Alright, let's continue. Earthbound, Winter's White. The duo couldn't believe what they heard. For real? Chris asked. I suppose so, Jeff said, nodding. Don't say I didn't warn you, though. At least you did say you would help me cross the woods. After that, you're on your own, he approached them. Do you accept my conditions? Sure, Chris said, turning to face Lucario. His trainer tapped his own head. Lucario, please listen to me. We're going to make whatever means necessary to make him lead us to Ness. Lucario used telepathy to hear Chris's idea. He just nodded. Jeff and the Bubble Monkey temporarily joined your team. What was that? Chris asked all of a sudden. What was what? I don't know. It just felt like somebody announced something. He shrugged. Anyway, we'll be happy to accompany you for a while. Lucario here is the muscle of our little team. Lucario preened a little with a small smile directed at Chris. Jeff took out some sort of small gun from his shirt. I have this pop gun to defend myself. I am quite clumsy a bit. But the teachers of my school agree that I'm smart enough to make my own inventions, he pointed out. If any of us happens to find a broken apparatus, please let me know. I can try to work overnight to repair whatever we get our hands on. I'd love to see that, Chris muttered with some doubts. What? Nothing. Why don't we move on now? He asked. Jeff shrugged his shoulders and finally walked into the woods with the Bubble Monkey following close. The other duo exchanged relieved glances and followed them down. They all introduced each other while walking on the snowy path. Where do you live? Where did you come from? He had more questions that practically wanted to bury their scalps in like fatal bullet shots. We come from a far land far away from Eagle Land, Chris said. He mentally punched himself for what he just said. We are from across the continent. Oh, foreigners, Jeff simply said. It felt like they had dodged the question. That's quite interesting. I wonder if I can find people like Lucario if ever I take an exchange program on down the line. Lucario rolled his eyes. Not really, he thought. Judging how things are right now, I wouldn't be surprised, Jeff said, fixing his glasses. What do you mean by that? Chris asked. They passed down the thin shades of withered branches. The Bubble Monkey had now climbed the trees to hop from branch to branch. The world has gone mad, apparently. Animals have turned hostile, while other unspeakable events have occurred all over Eagle Land itself, the Malone said, his glasses shining a bit. Neighborhood dogs have attacked people. The possibility of there being zombies had actually been proven, and inanimate objects somehow become mobile and turn against their owners. That's it? That is, Lucario trailed off, only then he felt that the area around him wasn't normal. He looked cautious, feeling an accidentally stagnant presence covering the land. He was busy trying to... Not now, Windows. He was busy trying to comprehend the initial shock of having traveled through universes, but then he felt it clearly. Not controlling his own nature as a proud fighter, Lucario groaned. Huh? Jeff looked up to the towering Lucario. Hey, why are you growling all of a sudden? The Aura Pokemon thought it was fine to say, even if Chris was giving a weird look. The entire land. It's been corrupted, Lucario said. Out of instinct, he pulled Chris close to him. To Jeff's surprise, Lucario glowed with potent aura, his eyes turning yellow. Through his eyes, he saw that the snowy land looked entirely different from its rather Pacific environment. Everything, including the wooded trees, was coated in a reddish aura that usually twisted itself in random spots. Widening his eyes, he sensed that the reddish aura seemed to be trying to strike them down by passing through their bodies. But they were unaffected by it. Jeff trailed off, fixing his glasses. I don't know how you can glow like that. While Lucario was busy growling, inspecting the surface area, Chris decided to speak next. Lucario is not only a very strong fighter, but he has the ability to sense auras, he explained. I'm guessing you just found a malevolent aura, right, Lucario? Yes, Lucario said. The land. All of it. It's covered in a red aura trying to take over everything. And us too. What in the world? Jeff muttered. A red aura covering the land. And us? Huh. I've heard a little bit of the supernatural force known as auras, but this is kind of incredible. Lucario stopped glowing, his eyes turning back to red. Fortunately, the red auras can't even do anything to us. It desperately tried to consume us whole, but to no avail. Even without glowing, Lucario could tell at first glance that the red aura was particularly trying its best to strike Jeff down. Jeff would want to take you down the most than any of us four. That's what I believe. I was kind of confused about four, but they still have the monkey with them. Jeff shivered a bit at the thought. He really believed that the aura Pokemon wasn't lying, since he glowed with aura. Well, I don't feel inherently evil or anything. I'm not even feeling anything wrong with me, he said. If that's true, then this Paula might be telling the truth. Perhaps we're immune to it, Lucario said. It's so annoying. I can't shake off that feeling, but my aura is repelling to it. Thanks for the little heads up, Jeff said. Suddenly, Lucario felt that the red aura was gathering into a single point. Looking ahead of him, he spotted a goat eating some grass, intact from the snow. It rose its head up and stared away with deadpan eyes. Beware! Lucario warned him. The red aura just took over that animal over there. That goat? Jeff asked. The goat grunted loudly and shouted at him. Oh no, that news report about angered animals turned out to be true! Here it comes! Chris panicked. How the hell should I even fight? Before Lucario could tell him to fall back, Jeff tossed him a second pop gun. What the? I found a spare pop gun, Jeff said. Use that to defend yourself. Ah! Gruff Goat. Jeff, Chris, Lucario. 48, 79, 489. Oh. There was absolutely no explanation what had happened. But Chris and Lucario felt that they had been dragged off somewhere else. They could see the snowy plains, but there was a part of them that had been ripped off from existence itself. Looking at Jeff, the blonde boy seemed unfazed. What is this weird feeling? Lucario asked, mildly horrified. I don't know, Chris said distraught. But let's not think about that for now. We've got a gruff goat to fight. Yes, Lucario said, his fist flaring up with aura. Gruff goat stomps on Jeff. There was simply no way to stop the goat from stomping on Jeff's frail body. Lucario was completely baffled and how he was unable to run. Jeff receives 8 damage. Oh, holy crap, Jeff! Chris said, seeing the gruff goat stepping back. Jeff whimpered a bit. I regret not taking PE class, he trailed off, but then he picked himself up and shot the gruff goat. Jeff attacks. Gruff goat receives 18 HP of damage. Did it just stand there to receive the hit? Chris asked, shaking his head in bewilderment. Ah, screw this! Chris defends. All yours, Lucario, Chris said. He was actually crouching down, his arms covering his head. The Bubble Monkey so casually landed on him and spat on the goat. Bubble Monkey spits into Gruff Goat's eyes. Gruff Goat? Another typo? Gruff Goat receives 12 HP of damage. Jeff stared at the whimpering goat, helplessly trying to shake off the spit on its eyes. I cannot fathom how spitting on its eyes is really damaging, he said. Lucario attacks. Gruff Goat receives 1098 HP of damage. Actually, it has just blasted off into the sky. You win. Jeff and company receives 20 XP points. Jeff's level goes up by 2, HP goes up by 4, offense goes up by 2, defense goes up by 1, speed goes up by 3. Oh baby! Guts goes up by 5, luck goes up by 1, vitality goes up by 3. Oh baby! IQ goes up by 6. Okay, let me drink a bit. To say the least, the world seemed to go back to normal to the newcomers, but that didn't stop them from seeing the brutal little Lucario had delivered to the goat. What lied down in front of Lucario was the corpse of the goat, with the missing head have blasted off high into the sky, leaving a trail of blood behind as it disappeared far away from the naked eye. Jeff, Chris, and the Bubble Monkey all turned the sickening shade of blue, a feat Chris knew was impossible in the real world. Shaking his head, Jeff uttered, "My word!" and dove behind the tree to puke. Chris felt an extreme case of vertigo and shivered at the morbid scene. The Bubble Monkey swallowed the scum by accident. staring with great horror at the bleeding corpse. Why am I laughing? It took a few seconds for the serious Lucario, his flaring fist still stretched, to digest what he had done. He looked down and gasped, pulling back his fist and stepping back from the corpse. Lucario wisely traces off. His trainer wisely summarized the situation with a loud, "Yuck! What the hell, Lucario?" I'm really sorry. Honest, Lucario said, approaching his disgusted trainer. I took it very seriously. I was just trying to protect you all. By literally beheading it? Chris asked, Lucario sensing his body shaking in aura. Jeff overheard the fat and went back to puke a little harder than before. Damn, I know the thought is what matters, but this is beyond ridiculous. Lucario knelt down in shame, holding his head to Chris. I will control the extent of my strength next time, so this doesn't happen again. I have a nagging feeling you're going to do it again. Chris turned back to face Jeff. He briefly saw the still expression of the bubble monkey's face. Jeff? I'm okay. The blonde boy leaned back a bit to them, clutching his stomach. I'm just not used to seeing people behead animals. Lucario stood back up, still looking ashamed. You have my sincere apologies, he said. Honestly, I didn't think you were this strong, Jeff said, mildly regaining his composure. You are certainly an incredible individual. The aura Pokemon smiled a bit, but then his face fell when Chris gave him a deadpan look that implied, Don't get too cocky or else you'll get it. He sighed instead. Jeff adjusted his glasses, having slipped off from his little private time behind the trees. On the bright side, I suppose our survival is pretty much guaranteed. I really wouldn't mind if you accompanied me beyond crossing the forest. The two gasped mentally. As long as you don't behead anything else! We don't mind, really, Chris said, brightening up. If you wish, you can hire Lucario as a guardian for the time being. Of course, I also come with the package. I don't like the sound of hiring, but whatever, Jeff said. The bubble monkey pulled his sleeve a bit, wanting to have more gum. The blonde gave him some gum, the monkey happily taking it. Let's move on, making sure you're both confronting any other goats. He shuddered once more. He spotted a trail of blood left behind by the head. He nearly wanted to puke once, he said, seeing the fresh corpse on the snowy ground. Chris felt the same, and so did the monkey, the latter who tried not to swallow the gum whole. They all quickly hastened their face around the murder scene and walked down the path. He just straight up beheads the fucking goat. Okay, focus. Several seconds later, after they were out of sight, a random hunter spotted the goat's corpse as he came from the same direction they came for. Don't know what happened here, but we're having a feast tonight, he merrily said, pulling the succulent corpse away with him. Back with the group, they suddenly came across some camping spots occupied by tents. We should be nearing Lake Tessie, that's assumed to have the legendary monster Tessie, Jeff pointed out. I reckon that there's the Tessie watching club nearby too. Oh, maybe we could rent the inside of a tent if they let us. The first tents were allowed them to rest for a bit before moving down further along the road. There were more tents stationed before Lake Tessie. Surprisingly, the lake wasn't frozen at all. Seeing a real lake, Chris was the first one to approach it, Lucario following him from behind. There's something big inside the water, Lucario said, his aura feeling another aura moving close to the shore of the lake. Tessie, perhaps? Chris asked. Please tell me we're not fighting the monster. I won't behead it. Don't you ever say that word, Jeff said. Seriously, Chris agreed. The bubble monkey hopped up and down before rushing to a stretched portion of the shore. Standing on a spot of dirt, he clapped his hands as if he was trying to do something special. What is that monkey trying to... Jeff was interrupted as rivers of water started to form right in front of them. Gloriously, a purple monster with a bright look on his face rose up from the water and howled playfully to the bubble monkey. In a second, the Tessie Watching Club members emerged from the tents and started taking photos, writing a whole lot of mild math guessing in their notes. You people act so fast, Chris said. Jeff, not minding the public behind their backs, noticed that they need to cross the lake. When they were resting back At the first tent, Jeff kept to himself that somebody named Paula had used a psychic call to telling him that he needed to head south. The lake was in the way, so he assumed he would need to cross it. The sides of the lake were surrounded by tall cliffs after all. We need to cross him. I wonder. The blonde calmly walked to the shore with the bubble monkey and looked up to Tessie. The crowd behind them gasped loudly. He's getting eaten whole, isn't he? Chris trailed off. From what I read from Tessie's mind, it's a vegetarian, Lucario said. His trainer stared at him with an odd look. It only thinks about food all the time. Tessie stared down at Jeff with what Chris thought was a very dopey smile. Huh. It's pretty docile, Jeff noted, to which many of the club happily jotted down in their notepads. We could probably ride it to across the lake. Tessie stared down at Jeff with what Chris thought was a very dopey smile. Oh, I read that already. The duo carefully approached the legend. Oh, it's a vegetarian, alright, Chris said. The watchers also noted the fact down. They saw as Tessie lowered its head down for them to climb over. Not wanting to say that Tessie had quite a flat head, the four stepped on top of its head, and then Tessie slowly swam through the cold lake. The four looked battered at the watchers as they helplessly tried to snap as many photos as possible. Remember, we're editing the guy in the blue dog suit out. We don't want to make this look stupid, so keep the kids and the monkey in the shot for extra points and cuteness. One of them called out. Lucario overheard them and grunted him, showing a few fangs. Jeff and Chris sat down to rest. We're lucky Tessie allowed us to travel across, Jeff noted. Just a few more ways I I'll reach Ness and Paula. Oh, he turned to face the rest. I guess I said that out loud. Just for the sake of sounding interested, Chris asked. Who are those? Already knowing full well who they are. It's kind of crazy to believe this, but the duo felt that they were getting somewhere out of sheer luck. There are these two other people who contact me through my mind while I was sleeping? They're the reason why I even set out to begin with. So you just walked out from your home because two complete strangers told you to? Lucario asked. Jeff blushed slightly, small waves of water moving away from the trail Tessie left behind as it swam down south. I know this sounds strange, but there's this feeling I've got when I was called by Paula to help them. It's just as if I received an epiphany. He moved up his glasses. Call it a hunch if you may. There was this feeling inside me that told me to do this, and I just jumped at the call of something. That's kind of mystical, Chris replied. Not really sure how to put it. Perhaps, perhaps not, Jeff said. It seems we're getting to the other side already. Tessie was slowing down to close the small eastern coast. It slowly moved down its head to the ground to let them step down, rising up its neck. Tessie calmly swam away, not before waving a small fin to them. As it sank back down into the water, the bubble monkey waved at it. I don't know how I'm going to make it, but Ness and Paula are both very far from here, Jeff said. If you really are worried, then perhaps we can accompany you all the way to where they are, Lucario said. Chris sighed to himself, feeling uneasy for having heard the suggestion. This isn't going to distract you from whatever you explorers do, right? Not at all. It will probably help us explore the land better with some sort of guide. I don't know that much about Eagle Land, but it's okay, Jeff said, nodding as they resumed their walk. The teen was happy to know that there was a safe lead to tag along with Ness. Now they just needed to convince Ness and Paula from letting them come. Several minutes later, the group of four came to a stop, finding a dead end to the left side of the coast. Well, I think we can surmise that Tessie knows nothing of. Jeff faces to the right where an entrance to the cave light. Landmarks. Actually, Jeff, Chris looked down to the left where the land wasn't stopped by a dead end. In fact, they could jump down a small fence of ground and continue down the road. The random grey pencils sticking out from the ground just behind their backs was a topic none of them wanted to get into. We can continue down through there. Oh, sorry, Jeff said, cleaning his glasses. My glasses were kind of foggy, I didn't see clearly. Just before they could even go down the path, Lucario suddenly grunted as he faced the cave. His grunting was unsettling Chris. Lucario, what's wrong? More of that evil aura you're able to sense, Jeff asked. No, Lucario said. There's another different red aura that doesn't seem familiar inside the cave. Grr. Out of pure instinct, Lucario ran inside the cave. Feeling very vulnerable, Chris gasped and followed the aura Pokemon. The Bubble Monkey thought they were playing a game, so he gave it a chase as well, leaving a deadpan Jeff behind. Oh goodness, Jeff said. I could head down alone, but they seem resourceful enough. Sighing to himself, the blonde entered the cave. Order Oddness, such a fitting title, Jeff said. Are we finally going to appear? Ness said. It looks like it, Brawler said. There's a bigger chance of dying horribly, sadly. I love this world, Chris sarcastically said. Would you like to save your data? Yes, old red file. Yes, Winters. Chris, Lucario, Jeff, Bubble Monkey. Alright. That chapter was kinda shorter than the first one. We made it in like 42 minutes. Pretty nice. Let's continue with the third chapter soon, but first of all, I forgot I need to add something here. Nope. Alright, Chris's timeline. Alright, let's continue. First of all. Alright. Hopefully this chat doesn't hold up. Yeah. Whatever, we're gonna make this. Chapter 3, Order Oddness. Brick Road. The group had rushed inside the cave, not knowing that what Lucario had sensed earlier. Once having entered, they weren't expecting the cave to have some sort of special features. Huh. Jeff fixed his glasses, staring at the rows of bolts in front of them. This can't be good, can it? From a bird's eye view, the cave held rows of boulders that loosely made up a big maze, meant for travelers to cross. Judging how the actual floor seemed clean, the maze was probably man-made. The floor was constructed mainly of bricks. Lucario, Chris began. We could probably jump down the dirt fence back outside. What's wrong with you? Lucario growled, seemingly staring across the boulder walls with eyes. There are malevolent auras in here. They are not like the others I've sensed, he said. Jeff started to look skeptical. If it's not related to the aura that you said was covering the entire land, then why come here, he asked. Hold on, perhaps if we ignore this, it could come back and bite us in our backs. Chris really needed to enforce the idea that he needed to act without being so suspicious. So he decided to support Jeff's idea. Yes, he said, nodding. Who knows, maybe we could find something useful out of investigating this tunnel. All the more reason to explore, I suppose, Jeff said. But let's not waste a lot of time. I fear what might happen to Ness and Paul if we're able to relate. The teen stepped forward and looked around. Oh great, this is some sort of maze, he said. Lucario, growling, walked to a boulder taller than he was and suddenly wheeled straws formed on it, completely obliterating it with pebbles. The other three just stepped back at the sudden move. That's one way to cross, Jeff muttered, sweat dropping. Feeling worried about his Pokemon's serious state, Chris walked to him. Lucario, could you keep your rage in check, he asked. Lucario wasn't turning to face him. You're kind of scaring me. Gasping a bit, Lucario turned to Chris, looking guilty. I'm sorry, he said. That's how the way I am. His trainer smiled and hugged him by the side for a bit. You're just acting like this to keep me safe, aren't you? Chris asked. Lucario put up a happy expression. Yes, this is all for you, so nobody hurts you under my watch, he said. Inside his mind, Chris looked suspicious. I wonder how much of that is even true. Ahem! Jeff cleared his throat to get their attention. I'm sorry to be demolishing this touching moment between you two. The duo slightly blushed and looked away. But we must proceed through this tunnel. Right, Chris said. He turned around just to find a newcomer waltzing into her view. The fact Chris grasped himself made it a bit obvious the said newcomer wasn't a good thorn. In front of him, a primate stood, staring with its red eyes at the group of four. Tilting its head, the primate fixed his hat on top. And what would that be? Jeff asked. He saw the bubble monkey shaking a bit at the sight of the purple man. Seeing Lucario grunt made the point even more obvious. A monster. Yes, Lucario said. The primate fixed his gaze on Chris and suddenly rushed to him with a fist ready to be tossed at his face. Chris yelled. Lucario smacked a heavy punch into the primate's side, sending it rocketing into the air as it left a trail of black aura behind that vanished in an instant. Feeling grateful, Chris sighed. At least that kind of monster wasn't easy for you to behead, Jeff nodded. Would you please drop that already? Lucario asked, looking perplexed. I'm not going to behead anyone else. I can't tell if he was going easy on that primate. That worries me. Chris thought, looking at the trail of the air primate once occupied. Are there any more of them? Lucario nodded. There are a lot of them surveying the whole pyramid of the cave, he said. Also, there's something big in the center. Something else that's radiating a whole lot of more of that sickening red aura. Oh boy, both Jeff and Chris said, not looking forward to what he had told them. The bubble monkey added something to itself at the same time. Please do get rid of it if you can, Jeff added. Totally, Chris added. Lucario nodded and they all proceeded to down the unblocked way. Lucario had taken on overall control of decimating the primates that stumbled into a path. From afar, wild explosions of aura of flying animals could be seen very easily. Boulders were heard shattering into small rocks. Roars of fury echoed through the brick road. Other than Lucario, the other three were just walking behind them. I know we're kind of taking the easy way by allowing Lucario to get rid of everything, but this seems kind of wrong for me. It's all good, Jeff said. We're still being taken into consideration. Besides, the levels are going off the roof even if we don't raise a finger in battle. Further increasing our own personal performances should we find ourselves in a bind. Okay, the team said before digesting what Jeff had said. Wait, levels? Nothing. Please don't pay much attention. Jeff muttered, hearing the another aura spear going right up right in front of the powerful Pokemon. Let's just calmly continue. The brick road wasn't as long as it seemed to be, mainly because they were literally following through the maze in almost no time at all. The quartet made it to the center of the cave, where they identified the supposed spot where a lot of malevolent aura was supposed to be stationed at. Chris' heart skipped a beat, the object at the very center of being a meaningful value for both he and his Pokemon. Jeff and the bubble monkey only stared long and hard at it. A fresh subspace bomb, with an Rob on each side was slowly counting down. At the time they had arrived, it only had 5 minutes to go off and consume the area they were in. What in the? Jeff trailed off. Is this some sort of bomb? Is it perhaps part of this man-made tunnel? No, Chris shook his head. I don't think this is part of the cave at all. The two Robs there attached to the bomb turned to face them. The group stared back at them, feeling some kind of emotion from the inanimate robots. All these robots, Jeff continued, going to expect one of them to see their mechanical spot firmly inserted into the bomb. Why are they even attached to this? There's a dangerous amount of black matter inside that thing, he said. We need to destroy this before it goes off. His trainer grasped and grabbed his right arm. What are you doing? Destroying a bomb is pretty much like Destroying a bomb is pretty much like making it go off, Jeff suddenly said. He felt nervous, but he pressed on. The Blood was wondering what to do with the bomb as the bubble monkey playfully got in the thinking position. The countdown was at 4 minutes. Maybe I can try to disarm it. Hold up. I haven't played Subspace Emissary before. I saw some gameplay some time ago. Did they ever manage to disarm a subspace bomb? Oh yeah, they mentioned it in the next sentence. A method of disarming a subspace bomb was never heard before. At least that was what the other what we do thought. I doubt if something really like Jeff could even pull off the feat. Are you serious? Chris asked, unsure. Whatever you do, don't punch this bomb just yet, Lucario, Jeff said as he approached the counter, inspecting whatever open lid he could find in the contraption. Looking below the counter, he found a small lid that could easily open by unlocking a simple lock. Okay, I found something here. Chris was mildly amazed, but his nervousness became worse with the possibility of Jeff accidentally triggering a bomb earlier by accident. Alright, now comes the hard part. Jeff found several sets of cables inside the circuitry of the bomb. Sweating a few bullets, the blonde took out a screwdriver and school scissors. Hate to say this, but I'll be doing some trial and error procedures to find something. Let's cut this cable here. He cut a red cable. The countdown was reduced in half, nearing 2 minutes. Their stomachs felt sick as soon as they saw seconds drop fast. Jeff! Chris shouted loudly. Jeff saw the countdown and gulped before going back to the cables. No, that wasn't the one. He rummaged through the cables and pulled an orange rung. He cut it slowly. It should do. It looked like the seconds were being counted down faster. What took 3 seconds was now taking 1. It's going faster, Lucario said, pulling Chris next to him to be ready to run. Jeff sweated even more as he searched for something else. If only my IQ was higher than it is now, he complained seriously. What are we even saying that? Lucario asked. Lucario, I think he really meant it, Chris said. His eyes turned and then calmed down. The bubble clutched himself onto his right leg. Jeff cut the cable and the countdown gained 10 minutes. The trio behind the launch was completely deafened. Did it just go up to 10 minutes? Chris wondered, confused at the end. The blonde boy sighed a relief, grabbing the magenta cable. No, that's a relief. It'll give me more time to find the one, he said as he cut the cable he grabbed. The countdown suddenly took a heavy fall until it reached half a minute. God damn it, Jeff! Chris promptly screamed bloody murder at the bubble monkey muffled out a loud scream inside the bubble balloon he blew into. Lucario had now assumed a running position. Jeff looked up and shook his body violently, throwing his arms up. Oh, screw this, Bob! I'm cutting all the cables! He said as he harshly cut down all the cables at once. Lucario, with Chris in his arm, reached out for Jeff's legs. But then they all heard a clicking sound coming from the bomb. Looking up quickly, the countdown had stopped all 20 seconds. They all stared at the countdown, their jaws hanging down in shock. The rubs at the sides had been turned off as they'd held by their lifeless eyes. Dear goodness, Chris breathed out. It did stop! Jeff froze in place for a little while until he stood back up, dusting off himself. Oh, I did it! I can't believe I actually did it! Lucario let go of Chris, who had been holding onto his neck with both arms for dear life. The teen and the monkey stepped away from each other while they still staring at the diffused bomb. Here goes 1 year of my life. Okay. Give me a second. Oh! I knocked over my bottle. Don't say that, Lucario almost instantly said out of worry. Well, that was a very adrenaline-filled experience. I've never predicted we would come across something like this, Chris complained. But anyway, it was stopped after all. We should be glad we weren't blown to smithereens. Jeff forced a twitching smile. He was still scared of what he had done. Yes, it stopped. Hopefully it won't resume us anything. My theory is... I don't know how the story will go after this is a blind reading. But my theory is somehow all the bombs stay disarmed. They somehow work again near the climax of the story. Which results in the world's basically ending, which puts the stakes even higher in the final battle. Just a theory of mine at the moment. If it's true, we see it once we reach the finale of the story. Anyway, there was I. As the four smiled to each other in triumph, Lucario suddenly felt something from the bomb itself. Staring at it seriously, the bomb had started to shine brightly in a second. What fault wasn't a huge explosion from a subspace bomb? Instead of engulfing the entire area into the subspace, the bomb merely blew up into a shining light that pushed the non-Lucario people away to the boulders. Lucario couldn't react in time to shield Chris from the pushing wind of the explosion. Luckily, the flash was only wind that emerged from within the bomb. Ah! Sorry. Jeff gasped as he crashed against the boulder behind him. Chris! Lucario yelled. Just as the bright explosion died down, the spot where the bomb and the robot throne stood was clear. Okay, forget my theory. The aura Pokemon thought, though looked around and almost immediately found Chris's aura to his right. Preoccupied, he found his trainer's body lying down on the ground. His loyal Pokemon knelt down and picked him up. Chris, are you? Chris had briefly lost consciousness, but he didn't get hurt much besides just being pushed away. The teen slowly opened his eyes and found his way to Lucario staring down at him and holding his frail body with both arms. Lucario. Jeff and the Bubble Monkey slowly stood back up from where they were pushed and approached the duo. Is everyone okay? The blonde asked before facing Chris. Jeff noticed his glasses were slipping slightly, so he pushed them up. Chris shook his head as he stared at the rather different looks. Why is everyone staring at me like that? I'm fine, he said in a slightly high-pitched voice. When he noticed the sudden change of his voice, he gasped, "What the hell happened to my voice? It sounded like when I was younger." More like, Jeff trailed off confused, your entire body got younger. The teen's jaw hung open before, and he started to look at his hands. They were slightly smaller than they used to be. When he looked down at himself being held by Lucario, the aura Pokemon could probably just grab him with one free hand. Lucario set him down. Chris could only stare up at him aura. Lucario, please tell me you got Southern Grove spurt after this bomb going off. He stared at Jeff, who was now at its eye level perfectly. Oh. Lucario shook his head. The boy before them was his beloved trainer. No, you really got younger. He managed to stay, baffled at what happened to Chris. Chris' next reaction summarized the entirety of the situation as he stared at his relatively smaller hands. Never before in his life he expected the other habits were, but in the event forced him to yell, "Holy shit!" Okay, we reached the 1 hour mark. 3. Graveyard Underground. Down below the graveyard of the spooky city of Threed, two children were sitting down on the cold ground as they waited the arrival of the friend they had contacted with using their telepathy. Since the door that held them captive was tightly locked and pretty hard to burn down and destroy to boot, there was almost no hope for them to escape on their own unless Jave arrived from Winters. Paula, this is insane, said the boy wearing a red cap. You should have contacted somebody closer to where we are. Impossible, said the goat sitting beside him. The rest of the population. I tried to get into us all protected through Geiger's influence warding off my powers. The closest friend I told you about happened to be all the way to Winters. What about the fourth? He shook her head. No use, I couldn't detect our fourth friend at all. It's like he's hidden somewhere remote. Like across the globe? My powers do have a limit, Ness. Oh yeah. The boy was an Onetian that had started a very surreal adventure to record 8 different melodies that were spread across Eagle Land. Hold up. Alright. The playlist was bugging around a bit. He wore red shoes, shorts, a blue and yellow striped shirt, carrying a small backpack and a red cap on top of his short black hair. It was the first Smasher, or soon-to-be veteran Smasher, named Ness. Although he had quite that docile look, there was an infinite amount of potential within him due to his adaptedness to PSI, that he hadn't fully developed yet. Next to him was a young blonde girl, originating from Tucson, who wore a bright pink dress with red shoes and a medium-sized red ribbon behind her head. She was the second chosen to accompany Ness on his adventure along with Jeff and his fourth friend. Her full name was Paula Polestar. Just like Ness, Paula possessed the strong PSI abilities that might even surpass his own. She was more like a teacher to him, but it only looked like that on a few occasions. That Jeff guy better be coming soon, we're gonna die of starvation. And probably become zombies, Ness complained. Paula sighed. I don't really think he'll arrive today, or tomorrow, or the day after. Then we'll have to make do what we have now, Ness said, taking out from his backpack 2 sandwiches he won't turn to her. We have 4 sandwiches after these ones. Maybe we could eat one in another 7 hours. Bad idea. Let's eat whenever we feel real hungry, but not just hungry. Ness had enough. This does it, he complained. Paula stared at him. We're just 11. We're not supposed to be fighting real-life zombies, he said quiet. Oh my god, we're fighting real-life zombies. Ness, calm down, Paula said, trying to stay sane. I know the fact we got dragged into this mess because Destiny says so is pretty surreal. But there's nothing we can do to object it. If it makes you feel any better, we're only children capable of burning monsters with our minds. That's great and all, thought Ness. But that can only happen if there are monsters nearby. Clearly I see no monsters anyway in this sticky hellhole. He smacked his face on his palms, sighing in defeat. No, our only hope is with some guy we never met before, almost literally lives across the entire country. Paula looked away, embracing her knees. Well, he's another chosen one, she said. If he's special like us, there's a good chance we'll get just as fine. Oh boy. Because, like, if I remember correctly, Jeff is the only one from the Earthbound team that doesn't have PSI abilities. So he isn't. I haven't played the game yet. I probably will play it soon. I hope they release it on Nintendo Switch Online someday. Anyways, let's continue. Ness rolled his eyes. Only if he could fly away all the way to Threed, he replied. But what are the chances of that? Slim to none. The honored boy grumbled and tried to suppress the hunger that was starting to well up in his stomach. It was times like this that Ness wondered why he was chosen as the chosen one to defeat him. Boy, what's wrong with me today? Defeat a mysterious entity that wanted to destroy the world with negative emotions. Why was Destiny so cruel? It was just a boy who was suddenly granted psychic powers, but then why did it feel like he had them from the very beginning? Any chance that Jeff guy is at least bringing some backup? Preferably zombie busters? Paula shrugged. None too impossible. What a stupid question, Ness thought. Oh yeah, the universe hates us was all Ness could say. Winters. Earthbound, Winters White. The universe clearly hates me, whined Chris with an even younger voice. How in the hell could I have expected this to happen to me? I'm screwed! He grabbed his head and frowned. What will my parents say when they see me like this? I can't go to high school anymore if I look like an 11-year-old. I'm facing a terribly early age crisis here. Lucario really wanted to bring the good side of things, like for example the fact Chris would need his services even more than before. However, he was greatly discouraged to bring up the fact Chris was close to a midget. Instead, the large blue dog sighed. I'll try to find some kind of solution for Chris, he said, not sure if he could even find said solution. Hold up. The quartet was now exiting the brick road, leaving it behind their backs as they walked down a snowy path leading to another cave. They met up with the designer of the brick road, the aptly named Brick Road, who only cared about the challenge his creation meant to see. He just put children and their companions through the whole thing. After finding out that his road was defeated by them, he congratulated them their efforts and let them continue. Seconds later, he did go back inside his cave to scream out the path of destruction Lucario had left in his path, though nobody heard him at all. With Chris having been de-aged, there was a lot of complaints coming from him that seemed like no one else would hear at the end of it. It was a great relief knowing that his clothes had shrunk along with his body. No way he was walking in large clothing around in the cold area. Coughing, Jeff said, This is a strange event indeed. But if you accidentally got younger by that curious machine, I suppose there's something that can return you to your older self. Chris sniffed, grabbing Lucario's far-away hand through the other with one hand. I want to find a solution immediately, he yelled. I can't live like this! Yelry would really find this super awesome, but not me! I have so many things going on with my life, I can't be seen like this! I thought you said the two of you were travelers. The teen felt silent for a moment, and so did Lucario. Though the first was more scared to reveal their inner motives to the blonde. Yes, but you should know how bad this is for me anyway. Oh, I know how you feel. That much I can say, Jeff said, dodging the bullet. Still, my father should be able to find something you can use. He's a renowned scientist from what the old magazines at the boarding school told me. The older wealthy duo gave Jeff some odd looks at the fact, but they shrugged afterwards. Lucario then heard his younger trainer sigh. Lucario, please be on your guard even more, Chris said. Like this anybody could kill me with a stick. I take offense to that, Jeff said. Who am I kidding? I can probably die the same way too! Don't think someone can really. I mean, yes, I will, Lucario said, forcing a small smile, but his trainer didn't smile back. He was too busy sulking about this misfortune to feel optimistic, also thinking the horrendous chain of events that would follow if he never got back to his older self. His mentally was left intact. Not much he could tell, but he felt too small and weak. If his parents were to see him, no amount of explanation would suffice. It hit Chris that what he was going through was truly happening. The fact he had lived half a year with a large Lucario proved that anything could happen. But after the Aura Pokemon stumbled upon the real world, there was so much normality in their lives that the thought of transcending worlds was really unheard of. Even more morbid was the proof that Chris has been de-aged, but there wasn't anything even more traumatizing than this. He thought there was not getting this poorly chosen life choice. As Jeff brainstormed impossible ways to find a cure, they came across the entrance of another cave, down a few ways away from the brick road, the Pond Cave. And here lies our next stop on the journey, Jeff said. Let's go! 2 caves in a row, Chris thought. It was about 4 hours into his journey and he was already at the second cave. Except this time Lucario was giant and Jeff was around his age. The bubble monkey didn't have any purpose to be added to the equation, his whole existence being spitting on enemies when chewing bubblegum. Brick Road, at least, had the decency of having a near clean air escaping between the multitudes of rocks. Pond Cave, in comparison was harsher in hindsight and reminded Chris that his otherworldly escape rates were just starting to get weirder and dangerous. It was more of apparent in the odd world that he stepped into. The cave had a damp atmosphere among the tall cliffs that conveniently placed ropes set on top of said cliffs to help travelers pass the human cave. Surprisingly enough, Chris and Lucario expected bats to inhabit the cave, but there weren't any. Instead of natural bats, the cave was occasionally graced with the presence of red fungi and slowly moving blobs that didn't have to care in the world until unaware the prey would get in their way. My first experience inside a dark cave, Chris thought, and for a moment he thanked Mother Nature for providing enough illumination to caves and earths. Otherwise, he would be hand-grabbing Lucario the entire way. With the fact he was younger, it didn't make things any less disheartening. But he had a super powerful Pokemon to shield him from everything, so it was a big plus that kept him sane for the most part. Sanity was of course the last thing on the long list of stuff in this world lacked. Shortly after the near entrance into the cave, Chris could have sworn that Mushroom Calf twitched. The others followed his grace and saw the mushroom spring into life by taking itself off the ground, sporting a pair of thin legs. Chris and Lucario winced at the animated fungus strutting on its spot. That's definitely not normal, Lucario finally said, his red eyes circling around the running mushroom. Of course it's not, Chris muttered, finding the strutting was some kind of adorable and threatening. Touching it was out of the question. It looks stupid. Well, I say, Jeff said, let's not get involved with it. It may give us the rabies if we want to eat it. Suddenly the strutting evil mushroom waltzed to their side and stopped in front of Chris. The little kid backed off, but then he remembered he was confronting a two-legged mushroom that didn't pose any threat. Oh, this is stupid. I can surely cut it down with a random stick. Ow! The mushroom bashed his right knee with its cap. Ah, fucker. I won't buy followers. Stop posting this stuff in my chat. The mushroom bashed was not near here. Lucario gulped and grabbed the mushroom by its cap. Rolling, he tore the animated fungus in two and tossed its lifeless half aside. As Jeff was greatly discouraging the fact Lucario had beheaded yet another creature that luckily lacked any butter influence to force the others into a puking session, the Aura Pokemon knelt down to check on his trainer. Are you alright? He asked. Chris rubbed the spot where he was bashed. It's really okay, he trailed off. It was a bit too hard, but it wasn't that bad. Thank you for getting rid of it. Ignoring how he had beheaded the walking mushroom with all the intention of the world, Jeff began, let's move on, shall we? The group of four walked through the cave to find the other exit on the other side. The bubble monkey proved to be an invulnerable area that helped them climb over cliffs by throwing ropes down, but it was quickly overshadowed by Lucario's superb jumping skills, making the monkey's useless. It didn't bother the monkey though, because he was being fed with bubblegum from Jeff. It was all good in his book. After some walking on the high cliffs, they stopped walking when they came across an ominous sight before their eyes. There was some sort of sparkling light blocking the way to another exit that led to a small northern portion of Winters. Frightened by the weird light, Chris backed off to hid behind the growling Why can't I read today? Behind the growling Lucario. Forget about the two-legged mushroom. What is that? Chris muttered for the first time in his life, seeing a weird glittering light that wasn't fake at all. Lucario immediately used his aura. The light emitted to the red aura, but behind that red aura was an entity blocking the path to a sacred spot across the exit it guarded. Its aura is serene, Lucario muttered. Yet it's an enemy. It's not attacking us though. I don't know why. Jeff approached the light. It'd be wise if we left it alone. What a weird phenomena, Jeff said, standing up the glittering light. There was something odd that called Jeff out to his right as he stood close to the light. You are not allowed to come through here, the light suddenly spoke to him all. Only Nest can absorb the power of this place. Be gone. Ah, it's a sanctuary place! I've heard about those things. Most of them yelped at the deep voice, telling him to stay away from it. Jeff backed off and fixed his glasses. Alright, Jeff said. I don't suppose we really need to pass this particular exit, but what if we need to? This light won't let us through unless we have this Nest person with us. Recalling that Lucario could survey a large stretch of land with his aura, Chris suggested him to scan the area for another exit. Nodding, the aura Pokemon quickly found an exit to the westward of the position. The area behind the light led to a dead end, except there was a powerful feeling that enshrined the small field of grass. Moreover, Lucario listened to an ethereal sound that resonated several times at the same beat. However, there was no real need for them to go look at it. There's an exit to our left, he said, still remembering the sounds that continued to echo in his head. Oh, that's better, Jeff nodded, sighing. Let's go to that exit, but as for this light... He looked back at the light. Nest is the other friend Paula mentioned in the call. I probably should mention this to them. Chris took one last glance at the dim, shining light behind their backs. He sighed to himself and Lucario overheard him. Is something bothering you, Chris? He asked, besides the current condition. Hold up. Yeah, hold up, give me a second, gotta drink a bit. Well, my current condition is another thing of my growing list of art stuff I've been seeing so far, Chris said, noting that Jeff wasn't within earshot along with the bubble monkey. So far I've seen gruff goats, friendly lake monsters, those subspace enemies we're facing, walking mushrooms, and now some weird light. He shuddered, rubbing his shoulders. It's so hard to take them all at once, you know. Lucario nodded. It felt... I'd feel more natural for me to fight other Pokemon, not this, he emphasized. Alas, this is our first job as Smashers. Chris shook his head. Don't use that to refer to us. It sounds so barbaric, and I'm not even barbaric in the slightest. I really am regretting doing this. Lucario growled a bit, getting Chris to look up at him. This only means that my job as your guardian hasn't been done so well, he said, feeling guilty of the statement. I must enforce my performance being more protective of you, he looked a bit sad. I'm shocked I couldn't prevent this from happening to you, Chris. Please forgive me. It's really not like I'm mad at you, Chris admitted. I'm mad at myself for not doing the right thing at the wrong time. But I didn't know before that the damn bomb could go off different and affect me like this! He complained a little loudly. Expect the unexpected, they say. His guardian nodded. I expect the unexpected even more than before for your sake. It was a nice feeling to have Lucario around. His trainer smiled a bit. Thank you, that's really sweet of you. He remarked, to which Lucario replied with a small pleased growl. Eventually the group exited the pond cave to come outside the last setting they were to get to see of Winters. Stonehenge entrance. Whatever strand of reality Chris had was cut out once more. We saw a large herd of dumb-looking cavemen sleeping and walking around this suspicious familiar landmark of stones. Cavemen were supposed to be either long dead or frozen somewhere in this world. But these ones were completely fine except for their brains. And this is another reason why I keep getting freaked out so often, he muttered loud enough for them to hear them out. Trying to act like a foreigner, I added, do you, Eaglelanders have more oddities to see? Asking me that kind of question is not recommended, Jeff replied back, his eyes looking at the cavemen doing some disgusting moves like eating whatever monstrosities were in their neighbors, or licking their smelly armpits. Usually not their own, oh dear god. The foul felt sick just watching them, that they looked away and tried to forget the event. Yes, I don't get out much to notice. The bubble monkey kept chewing bubblegum non-stop, but then it found itself stopping with its teeth. When it suddenly, almost out of nowhere, a similar female monkey wearing a red bow on top of her head passed by and climbed the nearby rock wall. Chirping something close to, now she's my type, the monkey parted ways from Jeff and followed his newly found sweetheart on the trees, blocking the plane they were on. Oh well, Jeff said. I grew annoyed with the constant sounds he made. Bubble monkey left your team. Okay, give me a second. Sorry, had to blow my nose. Okay, so the bubble monkey left the team. Which is interesting. Because it served literally no purpose in this story. Maybe in Earthbound. I mean, it was in the game helpful in that cave, like they mentioned. But in this story, it was just fucking useless. Chris and Lucario blinked. Okay, there was it again, the young kid said. That odd feeling about somebody announcing something is there. Look, Chris, Lucario began looking at that then. It's futile to make sense of the strange events in this world, Jeff gave me an odd look. I mean, Eagle Land, that we shouldn't think too hard about it. What with the walking mushrooms and cavemen freely prowling this area and all? If the past is any indication, we expect to see even weirder stuff down the road, Jeff said. None of them could go against his wise words. Anyways, with the bubble monkey gone, we only 3 left. I wonder how long it takes for us to meet up with Paula and Ness. Surely the long way will be perilous, ha! He suddenly laughed and looked at Lucario, as if with you for the long ride or security is... He stared at Chris for a long while he called that our Pokemon couldn't prevent the explosion from affecting him. Mildly assured, if that makes any sense. He finished. Lucario felt his pride hurt, but then his aura alerted him of a vicious entity being bent on taking him on. With an alarming scream from his trainer, the aura Pokemon turned to the left and saw a feral caveman dumbly rushing to them with a large wooden mace, meant to squash the poor kids. What did we do to enrage that one? Chris asked. My guess is that Gygas isn't responsible, Jeff said carefully, taking out his puff gun. Here it comes, he yelled as the caveman let out a very scrambled yell while raising his weapon over its head. Not wanting to fail his creator one more, Lucario decided to go all out on the caveman before the battle could start. Using extreme speed to instantly warp right in front of the demented human monster, the aura Pokemon placed a pulsing palm over this creature's stomach and released a potion force palm. Quite literally blew the insides of the caveman outside, turning every single twisting limb into dust because of the potent force of the blow, obliterating them all. With missing organs, the caveman fell on its back and died. Jesus fuck, Lucario, that's a bit overkill, don't you think? When Lucario's brief state of rage calmed down, he soon realized what he had done. His jaw falling down, he looked down at the morbid bleeding corpse of the caveman, seeping its blood into the white snow. His palm stretched out, Lucario gulped and looked over at his shoulder at the 2 kids, hoping that they had looked away the last second. They didn't. And the sheer morbidness of the scene was enough to Chris and Jeff to faint face first into the snow. Lucario even saw the sickly shade of blue on their skins from the uncovered parts of the snow that he knew went too far with his power once again. He just straight up obliterated that caveman. Feeling guiltier than ever, Lucario hoisted both of them on one arm and walked away from the scene of the murder. Dora Pokemon brainstorming the best apologies he could come up with to lessen the incoming scolding session. After he walked away from the corpse, the other cavemen that were minding their own business smelled the sick scent of the former alley. Oh, they drew close to it, their mouths suddenly drooling as they formed a circle around it. They weren't actually above cannibalism, so they rejoiced with the feast for tonight and thanked the omnipotent beings they thought existed for giving a present of food. Oh dear God. Several minutes later. Is it not enough for you to behead creatures? I'm so very sorry, really. I went too far with my strength again. Oh, really now? Apparently beheading is a level lower than blowing creatures' intestines. I do like that incredible strength of yours. But there's something called control that does work wonders by preventing these accidents from happening. If it's not much, at least this time the blood vaporized before it could soak my hand. Ah, don't say that! Sorry. Could we please just stop talking about intestines? Chris pleaded, clutching his stomach. I can't bear it any longer. Lucario couldn't stop getting scolded by Jeff. Chris could have joined in, but he was too busy trying to forget about the mentally scarring scene. It was futile, sadly, as the argument between the other two only fueled his thoughts with scary mental pictures. Lucario's super strength was surely a good thing, but now Chris had started to regret why the hell he got an obscenely powerful Pokemon that could kill anybody with one blow. Why not a normal one? He thought. Perhaps he was more of a wimp than he thought that he was in serious need of a super being to keep him very safe. Keeping his health safe, on the other hand, was an afterthought that went largely ignored. Is he always like this? Jeff asked Chris, but the young kid wasn't ready to answer, seeing as his face looked sick and about to puke. I can infer from your reactions that he hasn't done this too much, which means I'm having bad luck. Well, Chris managed to say, catching a second breath. I like how protective he is, it's just that he can get a little out of hand sometimes, he lied. Back in the real world, the only enemy Lucario faced on a regular basis was hunger and the occasional video game boss whenever he felt like playing something. Those weren't worthy enemies to mention. He means well, Lucario nodded for support. Jeff sighed as they came across a metal building that overlooked a sea of trees. Trees that followed on the lower tall cliff. Coming to a stop, the group wasn't open for the idea of climbing down. There wasn't a path anywhere else, meaning that they came to a dead end. Only reason I haven't turned around into effort to got me to Paul is that this help, no matter how sickening, is an invaluable tool for my survival. Our survival, he retaliated, until looking at the odd building next to them. This building right here is the only spot we can enter. I don't see any other path going south unless we dive into the forest down below. The building was odd looking because of its metallic walls and roof, but it was better than nothing. Chris thought, let's ask for direction inside this place, he suggested as he walked around the construction, finding a metal door. Okay, I've never gotten this close to a door like this. Quickly knocking the door, Chris gasped when it opened up by itself. The other two got to the side and exchanged confused glances until they decided to enter. Lucario had already sensed the blue aura inside. Alright, let me drink something. Dr. Andronut's lab. The cold from the outside couldn't hope to reach inside the building, as there was a warm heating system keeping the temperature at a stable level. Feeling some sweat, Chris took this jacket off and carried it on his arms as he inspected the place. It was a lab that had many weird-looking machines leaning against the walls, with tables displaying many unfinished gadgets and tools. Among those were devices Chris thought were toys. But there was a good chance everything was real. No doubt the scientist lived in the building somewhere. Said scientist hasn't noticed him coming in as he was busy tinkering with the other devices on the table. It was an old man dressed in a white lab coat. He sported glasses that looked similar to Jeff's. He had a long white mustache that was coupled with impossibly tall sideburns that stood on the side of his ears, acting as his hair since he was bald. It was the somewhat renowned scientist Dr. Andronut. Jeff had a hunch it was his father. He cleared his throat loudly enough for the scientist to hear. Hello, he said. Huh? The scientist looked up from his workstation and turned to the direction of the entrance. Staring a long while to the fascinating creature that was Lucario, then noticed the blonde kid waving his arms to look at him. Oh, I didn't saw you coming in. What brings you? Wait, could it be? He approached Jeff. You're my son. Jeff fixed his glasses and rubbed a small tear from his right eye. I got a feeling it told me you were my dad, he responded. It's nice to see you at last, Dad. Well, it'll be, his dad said. The day you finally ventured out from the boarding school finally came. Having you around the lab would have been disastrous when you were younger. There was an explosion almost every day back when I was young and naive. Suddenly all my bottled up frustration at you has disappeared. Kristen started to wonder what kind of family they were. Jeff was put in a boarding school just so that his dad's invention wouldn't kill the blonde in an explosion. But there was something awfully wrong and stupid about the reason. He wanted to question the poor excuse of father for even going so far as to imagine my complete lack of housing issues when I sold my house for this lab in winters, Dr. Andronut said, laughing for a bit. I could barely afford a table for me to sleep on, and I twisted a lot during my sleep. Having you on 10 years ago would have been a nightmare for you. You would have hated me even more if you missed an arm on an eyebrow. Chris couldn't believe men like Dr. Andronut even existed. Jeff felt speechless for a moment. You know what? I'm so very glad to put me in a boarding school. I don't regret it one bit. Nope, not at all. Chris and Lucario exchanged dull sideways glances at each other. Indeed, it saved your life countless of times, Dr. Andronut said. Well, either way, I'm glad you made it all the way here, my son. I'm so happy to have you back. Too bad our meeting will have to continue another day. The scientist gave him an odd look. Dad, listen, earlier today I got a call from a girl named Paula who begged me to help her and another friend named Ness. They're being held captive at the basement of some place. I don't know, somewhere in Threed. And I must get there at all costs before something happens to them. Oh, that's completely understandable. The other young kid was bewildered. Did he just seriously understand that? Chris thought. No objections, no worries, no questions, Lucario wanted. I starting to believe he's not a good father. Allow me to help you out with that. I knocked over my bottle, for fuck's sake. Dr. Andronauts said, I thought something like this would happen, so that's why I finished my latest invention yet. The Skyrunner! He all motioned them to follow him to the left area of the lab, where a large object sat on a small platform. The object was actually a flying ship that looked very close to an UFO, more than anything. It was large with an oval shape, spotting small windows on the upper half of the grey metal. Here it is, your method of transport is ready. That looks like an UFO. Chris spoke. Are we getting shot down by the armed base on the way to Threed? Perhaps it was too oblivious, but the science just noticed Jeff wasn't alone. Who might you be? He asked. On top of all that, he's ignorant. My name is Chris. This tall girl next to me is my guardian Lucario. Lucario appeared printed a description. We're travelers traveling with Jeff to escort him to Threed. Why, you're too young for being a traveler, the scientist said. Do your parents know you're here? The young kid felt a bit offended. Really? You're seriously asking me that when you put Jeff in a... Chris grunted mentally. Yeah, yes, they know, but... He remembered that he was talking somewhat less scientist, but they don't know how I've been de-aged an hour ago. I was a teenager on some bomb that Jeff managed to disable by himself. Jeff disabled the bomb? The scientist said. Instead of voicing concern, he smiled wide and said, Attaboy, Jeff, you make me so proud. Jeff kept looking deadpan despite the praise he got. Yes, kudos to him, Chris said, sounding desperate. That bomb he disabled in a way he suddenly blew up anyway, but instead of getting us all affected, I was the only one who got screwed. Meaning I turned into a kid. Dr. Aaron pinched his mustache. So I take it you want to find a way back to your old self, yes. You're lucky, young man. I have an invention that will help you out. The H-Jumper 1000! With all the impossible things that were happening today, Chris lost all sense of questioning what was going on. He just looked hopeful that there was a solution. Let's pray that this won't blow up or cause you to grow even older. That 1000 can mean probably will reduce you to dust. Lately I have a bad streak of luck, but who knows, this may be it. It was enough for Chris to remember that this one wasn't the most reliable person to ask. You know what, forget that I asked about. I don't want to take any chances. Okay, we're getting closer to the end. Ah, the scientist must have been ashamed. That's too bad. I was hoping to find someone to test it out. Lucario shot him with a nasty glare that he ignored. In any case, Jeff, you should take the Skyrunner. It can take you all the way to the place you want to go, where that Ness and Lord Paul are waiting for you. Here, he approached the UFO and pressed the button on the front, opening the door to it that fell down on the floor. Go ahead. Oh, and when you can please come back to check the phase disorder I'm working on. It'll blow your minds away like boom. Obviously, the ship was meant to go into the sky. Chris hardly boarded any airplanes in his life, so he didn't know what to expect from his first experience. Then again, he went through so many incredible experiences several moments ago that flying was the most common thing in the list. A flying machine being a UFO, though, was the only fact that put it next to the oddity. This is probably a personal opinion of mine, but why did you model the Skyrunner after a UFO? Chris asked. Why not some small helicopter? Pfft, Andronauts chuckled. A helicopter? Where's the fun in that? I like going for the most extravagant design so that people can recognize me. Mundane is boring. It occurred to Chris that all those he had met in the world were so far were very strange. This Tessie Club should have been an early example of foreshadowing. Good enough, Chris muttered. Lucario scoffed at the UFO. He could easily take Chris and Jeff all the way to Threed using extreme speed, but Master then told them about deviating from the plot or else they would suffer the consequences. Let's go inside and hope this machine doesn't fail midway, he said. That won't happen, I assure you, Dr. Andronaut said. Lucario, I'm hoping I'm not being rude, but can you please can I put it inside a stasis can to put you... I'm stumbling over my own words. But can I put you inside a stasis chamber to study you in great detail? Bite me, Lucario responded, staring out at the scientist. Oh, the no glare. Fiddlesticks! Several seconds later, the trio boarded the machine. The inside of the ship was a bit too cramped for the tastes, especially for Lucario, who had to duck and push his ears down. The small windows provided him with enough sight of the outside. Even when they sat down, Jeff opted to operate the flying vessel from the control panel to the front center, the blinking buttons distracting Chris. Okay, Dad, we're ready to take off, Jeff said, closing the hatch. Good luck, Jeff, Dr. Anderson shouted. Let's see each other in 10 years again. The scientist stared, wavering a helplessly stare at the ship floating up and down from a platform with the open ceiling at the left. When the Skyrunner exited, it started flying himself west. The opening closed down and slowly a small piece of snow falling down to the platform. A full canister with gasoline was sitting behind the platform, heading behind the large ship. Loosening the canister, the sign blinked a few times. Oh boy, I forgot to refuel the fuel tank of the Skyrunner, he trailed off. Yeah, Dale crashed down and Jeff will get into a 10-year coma for sure. Above the skies. Surreal experience of... Okay, lovely. I drank a bit. Surreal experience after surreal experience, Chris and Lucario sit down in the corner of the small machine as they felt the occasional rumbling movements of the cruising UFO. It was a miracle that Jeff was quickly learning on how to operate the Skyrunner, as Dr. Ann not completely forgot about the make's instructions, on the go or even an instruction manual. And by sticky note in the control panel reads, "Nobody reads the manual anymore these days, and it won't do it in the incoming years." Those were wise words, and Chris himself never bothered to read them unless it was very necessary. Ironically, the situation was asking for a manual of the sort, but Jeff had everything under control. Trying to forget about their worries, the duo looked outside through the small windows at the clouds. They were riding in a UFO, but that didn't make the scenery outside any less enjoyable. The clouds outside were being touched by the light of the sun. Since winters was a particularly cloudy region, going further away reduced the cloud mass as holes in the sky started to appear, making the sunlight rays look majestic in a way. I was scared about riding this ship, Chris said, but it's so amazing to look outside and watch the clouds. Lucario kept a tight grip on Chris' smaller body, putting him to the side with one hand. Sensing the calming aura from his trainer and seeing the small bright smile on his face, the aura Pokemon felt at peace. I agree, Lucario said. This is also my first time flying through the sky. Chris looked up and chuckled, leaning his head against Lucario's fat body. Hey, this is wonderful for first times doing something new together, he pointed out. Lucario chuckled. It's very refreshing to experience something like this for the first time together, isn't it? For that, I'm grateful. Oh, dear God. Okay. I wish I could stare outside, Jeff spoke from the control pedal. Sadly, my dad didn't build an auto-control option for the Skyrunner. I'm slowly figuring out how to operate everything. We're lucky that 3 isn't far away from here, though I theorize we get there in an hour or so if we keep the same speed. And Ness is there, Lucario thought. His trainer will also realize the gravity of the situation. Ness was the reason why Master had sent him to this world. Keeping him safe from the army would be easily with Lucario, but Chris wasn't so sure if they were able to go up to it for judging how they had screwed up very early. Moreover, Ness was the leader of the group of chosen children. Convincing him would be another ordeal to pass. More lies were needed to keep that charade up, unless they figured something out first. Jeff was just a stepping stone for what was to come. The duo felt silent and exchanged growing glances. How are my two saviors doing? Both of them tried loudly when they heard a mental scream inside their heads. Jeff looked back at them. Is something wrong with you? He asked. We're not crashing into an airplane, right? No, Chris muttered. We realized we haven't eaten in a while, Lucario finished, looking ashamed. Yeah, we're starting to get hungry. Unfortunately, the Skyrunner also likes their fruit with fruit, Jeff noted, turning his face to the panel. Hang in there for another hour. We'll immediately head for a food establishment to rest. We haven't stopped working ever since we left the Tessie Club people. To sighed with relief, though. Jeff thought they had cited their hunger, because talking verbally in secret was not good a thing. Lucario resorted to telepathy. Chris, I assume you're outside that voice, right? The booming voice? Yes, I heard it. Oh good, you two heard me clearly. Even though they weren't keeping up with things, the two heard the voice clearer than before. No doubt it was Master Hand himself. But Master Hand? Chris said, alarmed. The one and only. The hand spoke to their minds. Good to see my dimensional telepathy. Hold up, give me a second. Good to see my two-dimensional telepathy skills are up top of the game. Howdy there, you otherworldly travelers. I've seen you every move ever since you departed for your long-ass journey to save the universes. Happy to see you two are doing subpar for the moment, he grumbled. I expected more from you, Lucario. You're certainly far stronger than what I had with me, but geez, you're screwing up even more. Are you sure you're up with this task? I saw everything you've done, like, for example, letting Chris turn into a kid. Lucario winced. How was I supposed to know that bomb would react like that? He asked in his defense. Well, I can tell you this. There was no real need for Taboo to develop a bomb like that, he said. Bombs don't do that at all. But it kind of feels that Ness's world had some sort of influence on how the bomb went up. That or your little assist trophy Jeff did a weird number on defusing the bomb. By the way, that kid's something you could learn from Chris. Chris winced next. He's just as inexperienced as I am. But what he does have that is more cute than I do, machinery-wise. No excuses, Dan retorted. Afterwards, he sighed. Look, Chris, you're starting to feel like the load of the little team. And I'm starting to regret not giving you a single job to test out your devotion for a rather societal choice. So you foolishly chose to take on with Lucario. Who can kill if he will so much as to step on your frail little body? Are you deliberately amusing me? I can't tell. Are you deliberately insulting me? I can't tell. Chris said. If he is, I will deliberately murder him while you're away so he don't have to faint, Lucario said in a threatening voice. Empty threats fall on my deaf ears. As I was saying, Chris, I'll feel pity for you, my son said. No way in that body you're going to dish damage. I'm going to go ahead and give you a break. Ah, Jesus fuck, how long is this chapter? Chris was finally getting a break from the audio. You mean you're going to appear and finish the bad guys up? Master laughed, thinking crazy, and joined in with the laughing by laughing even louder. Are you effing kidding me? Doing that would put me in peril with the army. I'll go out from my hiding spot and Taboo will call the National Guard on my wrist. The death rate in Ness's world will hit the top. You will either puke, faint, or you both die in your own sleep. Lucario's probably getting nuke dropped on his head. Holy crap, Chris said. Is it so incredible to say that I totally expect all that to have happened at this point? Seriously, a nuke? Was all Lucario could say. Yeah, things will get crazy. You two are my only hope to keep things under control, and I have to give you a job. Chris said it's better to... So, snap. Fingers snapping echoed. Wait, give me a job? Chris was interrupted when he felt something pulsating on his body for a brief moment, but the feeling quickly died down. It was a strange feeling that even alerted Lucario to his aura senses. With a quick scan of his trainer's soul, the aura kid didn't see anything hazardous. The aura Pokemon didn't see anything hazardous. Congrats, Crazy Ann said. You have obtained your first job, the PK kit, he announced cheerfully. Description says, blast foes with mind attack using a variety of elemental skills and only come out from your thoughts. To be honest, Chris felt no difference, except for the smaller body size. I don't feel any difference. Did you really do anything to me? Okay, I think I'm gonna add this to the chart. So here's the timeline. No. Oh no, no, I won't add it to the chart when he gets an ability. This is timeline only. Okay, Sure I did, the hand said. I just didn't want to make the scene in front of Jeff. Look, let me explain here how it works. Chris, your job list has finally obtained a new job. A job stylized to resemble the powers that Ness has. You won't only get his powers, but your appearance will get affected. I left out the part where your body goes through some horrendously painful alterations to indicate using a job. You'll be wearing the same clothing as wears. Don't worry about cosmetic things like shirt size. The job will always fit you with the right size. Unbelievable, Chris trailed off. This is really happening to me. What a culture shock, huh? Really now all will work out on your hand if you add some courage into the mix. The hand for once encouraged the kid. Since it didn't change your appearance for some security, I'll tell you how to change jobs manually at will. All you have to do is think hard about changing the job desired in your mind, and presto! You will be wearing the job's clothes in an instant. Though not having changed your job, Chris signed with some relief. At least it won't be that much of a load for the team now. That's still to be seen, the hand said. You see, the job I just gave you, it only has PK Fire for use it. Everything else at Nest has locked out to you from the start. Once more, Chris was cursing his dumb luck. You gave me a crippled job! Do you really want me to make a difference in a battle or what? I can't believe how much pressure you're putting on me. Alright then, Chris, show me you'll at least fight back in a pretty serious fight. Against a living being that's fully sentient, and all to make a point, don't count on Lucaris for support if he's not even there to help. Imagine you're just against, say, Gallium. The kid was left speechless when he considered about such a situation ever happening to him. Who was kidding? Fighting a monster was less heartbreaking than fighting a real foe that could feel emotions and think of its own thought. It dawned on Chris that the chance to even doing so far as killing a sentient being just for the sake of keeping his own life safe was possible. Ness's world was filled with odd creatures that made no sense to live. It was like a tutorial world for him before the serious stuff showed up. I don't feel that confident, Chris admitted. Lucario looking sad. I don't have a lot of courage like Lucario here. Sorry for ruining the mood, but it has to be done this way. His hand said, don't worry about not being able to use all of Ness powers. Those unlocked powers will eventually unlock themselves as you build up experience in battle. I'm not saying you're leveling up or anything, who knows? During a battle you may learn new skills on the go. I encourage you to assist your murdering partner and anyone else you come across with your presence. I am still testing you out, you know. Lucario smiled apologetically. Chris, you have me, I'll prevent the day where you have to fight alone by fighting together against our enemies. Hopefully experience can lead to you. He reassured his trainer. I made my choice, so I guess there's no complaining about it, Chris said. This sucks though. You can complain all you want. Somebody like you would do that during your first mission, Stan said. So that's all I want to tell you guys. From now on I'll cut your communication. I don't want Taboo to catch us talking like this. I'll call you when the mission's over with, which isn't really over due to the abnormal readings I'm getting from the mansion. Chris sighed. I knew we weren't done that way. Wait, mansion? Oopsie, I don't want to spoil the surprise just yet, the hand said. Godspeed to you and all that. Good luck, I'll yell you very soon, Master Hand out. The telepathy then ended. I need a drink. Lucario upheld the telepathy, seeing as Jeff was busy with the panel? Everything is happening. Chris, nothing is an illusion. I wish it was, except for you, of course, Chris responded weakly, trying to cope with the huge task he was given. Drifting his thoughts, he looked outside to admire the scenery. Arduous battles would eventually happen very soon, and he feared to think about it for too much. For now, he looked down to see that the Skyrunner was hovering over Foresight. The ship was flying close to the city. There was a large build-up on top of the largest building that had the blonde fat kid flashing a golden toothy grin. Chris couldn't see the fat boy's eyes because they were hidden under his hair, but he did read the neon sign of it. Pokey owns you. Sad kid happening to be standing next to the sign to admire his sexy good looks on paper. When he noticed this guy run up, Pokey snobbishly stuck out his tongue and walked back inside the building. Well, excuse me for looking at your billboard, Chris thought. Lucario had seen the scene and he growled mentally. The two got bored of sightseeing the cloudy setting that they decided to rest. Oh god, okay, are we almost done that? We're almost done, oh great, good. Half an hour later, the ship suddenly rocketed to the sides, making Sleeping Duo wake up, alarmed, almost getting a heart attack. Chris looked outside. Somehow, everything had turned dark, but he could see the moon in his face. At least was everything you would make out from the violent shaking of the ship. What's going on? He shouted as Lucario kept a tight grip on him. Jeff was frantically controlling the ship on the panel. A quick glance at the gas gauge told him that he ran out of fuel. The ship ran out of fuel! Jeff yelled. I'm doing my best to keep it from plummeting down. The other kids started breathing in and out. The outside indicated they were far above the ground. A fall that high would most likely kill them all. Except for Lucario. Chris doubted, though that wasn't important to think. Can we make it? Lucario yelled, growling occasionally. No, Jeff finally said, once the arrow hit the dead bottom gauge. The rocketing ship stopped shaking as it suddenly came to a complete stop in midair, lifelessly hovering among the clouds. Nice knowing you guys! Shortly after, the ship responded by dropping down like a pebble to the faraway grounds. Not sooner than that, screams ensured as Chris and Jeff proclaimed bloody murder. Lucario was thinking about opening a hole in the ship to escape, but the force of the air could suck them all forcefully in the end. He pulled Jeff to his side, clutched both the screaming children together under his arms. It was pure good luck that the Skyrunner stopped right above the spot where Ness and Paula were held captive. Street Graveyard Underground. Feeling as if an entire day had gone by already, the two children started eating their sandwiches after much nagging coming from Ness and his grumbling stomach. Annoyance triumphed over Paula, but she couldn't complain. She was very hungry as well. This has to last us, she emphasized as Ness voraciously ate a sandwich. I'm giving us 10 hours before we resort to cannibalism. Good that? Ness spoke with his mouth full. Paula dodged aside of looking away. He swallowed his food. I'll go crazy and start blasting the door over there until it gives away. A serious dose of Psy rocking alpha is all I need. Paula shook her head. That'll exhaust your mind. I won't do that, she said. But if you want to give it a shot, go ahead. Don't complain once you start getting headaches, because I didn't stock pills up for this. Ness mumbled with relief as he let the sandwich satiate his tongue. He twirled up with pleasure. Just let me enjoy eating this sandwich before it goes to waste. Man, I'm glad I bugged you to eat this. Paula sarcastically smiled. Do be careful now, Ness, she said. I won't spoil the food, but Destiny likes to ruin the mood when people say that kind of thing. Ness rolled his eyes at her. Sure, he drawled on. Destiny then responded by dropping a large object on the cave from the newly broken rocky ceiling. Both children grasped loudly before the abrupt force of the crash pulled the dust and rock everywhere. I'm stumbling over my own words. The two psyched children stumbled and fell on their backs, losing their grips on their food as the cave became filled with dust. They screamed loudly, confused as to what was happening. Amidst the dust cloud, Ness uncovered his head to forward his eyes widen and shocked at the scaring sight before him. The sandwich, its ingredients were covered in dust and separated violently across the ground, mocked him. The honored boy then bellowed to the ceiling, cursing Destiny harshly for toying with him and ignoring the nonsense of the girls coming from the wreckage. My sandwich! No! To be continued. The oddness gets odder. Oh come on, my world isn't that odd, Ness complained. We're children capable of murdering monsters with our minds, Paula said. I can't burn people with my mind, but what I can really do is fix broken machines, Jeff said. And I can blast foes with a single force cone. Thank you for reminding me how brutal you can be, Chris filled off. Would you like to save your data? Yes. Overwrite file? Yes. Read. Chris, Lucario, Jeff, Ness, Paula. Okay. We made it. We read 2 chapters today. Oh god. Pretty nice. So I'm gonna end it here, near the 2-hour mark. I'm getting kinda tired. It's kinda exhausting. Talking non-stop for 2 hours. So the story is still pretty good. The concept, some Kingdom Hearts like Smash thing, pretty neat. I would like to see this thing as a game, to be honest. Anyways, thank you guys for watching and see you around.